All right, call the meeting to order as, 6:03, something like that? 6:02, perfect. All right, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Play ball. All right. Any changes to the agenda?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Could I get a motion to approve the agenda this evening?
So moved. Second.
All right. Do we have that? You need to take notes. Paul?
If you can just say who, Brandon will pull it off the video.
Oh my gosh.
Andy.
Andy, thank you, Andy. Jesus. I'm just like. All right. Shh. Any public comment out there tonight? Nothing else, I didn't hear anything, okay. Approval of the minutes from June 10th. Motion?
I'll motion.
Angela,
Second.
second Paul. All in favor? Aye.
Andrew. Second.
What?
Andrew seconded it. Muting a nap, man.
I am extremely tired.
So we're gonna get this done quickly so you can go home, huh?
Exactly. Community garden discussion.
So this is an item that's come up to the commission before previously. You will recall that we had a resident that came in and asked the city to consider establishing a community garden. At that time, the commission had indicated that you were open to it and directed staff to look at the issue, pros and cons, and potential sites for the garden. Brandon had prepared a report for your benefit. He had identified a couple sites that appear to be feasible, meaning that the city owns the property, it's in a location that's accessible. They both have pros and cons. I'm going to skip going into the details of the sites and just go straight to the larger or the high level question is whether or not the city wants to pursue community gardens. With community gardens, there's a number of considerations, and there are characteristics of community gardens that are successful. One is that you have a good location. Good location is considered to be an area that's reasonably fertile, or where you can put beds that are fertile, that it's accessible, that it has water availability, that it has parking available for others, that it's in a location that also does not create a conflict with the uses around it, whether it be residential, commercial, parks, whatever. The other thing that is consistent with them is that there is funding for them. There is a cost to set them up, and there is some cost for maintenance of it, whether it's the city or a nonprofit organization that adopts it or has been established in order to run it. The other thing is that successful community gardens are run by the people that utilize them. Usually that's some form of a nonprofit organization, and so that requires a level of grassroots support and enough interest and, quite honestly, bodies and resources to make it sustainable over time. In this particular situation, while community gardens can provide social benefits, especially in communities that have denser housing where people don't have yards or places where they can grow fresh produce on their own, the reality is that most of our community, we don't have a lot of that actual housing in town at this point in time. It's mostly single family, and most people have the ability to do a garden, whether it's a container garden, in-ground, or a raised bed garden on their own property. The other thing is that aside from this one individual is the only individual in any sort of recent history that has come up and made the request, so there does not appear to be a broader request or desire within the community, nor individuals committed to the success of the endeavor, which means that it would fall back onto the city. Two, we don't have any funding specifically identified for it, and the sites that we do that might be workable are sites where it would be possibly an interim use before it gets used for other purposes. There's also the issue of staff bandwidth. Even if you have another organization that's running it, there is time and resources that are required on the part of staff to help ensure the success, act as liaison, coordinate, and in this case, since we don't have them, the initial getting it set up, whether it's staff within community development or staff within public works to work on that. Brandon provided more detail about the sites and costs associated with it, but the staff recommendation is that while in the future this is something we should not let go and should revisit in the future, at this point in time, staff would recommend that we don't pursue it. The commission's being asked to provide a recommendation on whether, basically decide whether this goes on to the council at this point for council consideration. If the council's aware of it, they're aware that if you guys don't think it's worthy to move on, they know that, so.
Any comments?
Well, we had the discussion, I thought, in detail at the last meeting, and I shared with the commission some of the pros and cons that I've been through, because I've been with Minneapolis Park where we had huge community gardens. You know, they were plotted out so that neighborhoods had a lot of problems with vandalism. We had a lot of problems with animals, which in turn, we put up 8-foot fences to keep the deer out. This is up at Theodore Worth, so it's keep the deer out, and nothing kept the rabbits out. And it was a neat idea because individual parks would have their own little plot there where they could grow it and watch it grow. And so it was a very educational tool more than a sustenance type of things. But there were a lot of issues. Unfortunately, when the deer, after everything was kind of established and the fences were up and everything was going well, somebody came in and literally stole all the vegetables. Everything that was at harvest time, be about this time of year, stripped almost everything that was there that the kids had grown. So that's my background in them. And then the other one is I think I mentioned our church, Holy Trinity in New Prague has one, which is sponsored by I believe it's the Lions Club. And they spent a lot of money, and they were all accessible, all of the gardens. So they were actually up on well, I would say accessibility height, you know, so wheelchairs or senior citizens could go in there and work the gardens. And they ran into problems because they didn't have water there, so then they spent a lot of money to go pipe in water. And I don't know, I think we showed pictures of that last meeting. And so there's fences, it's gated, it's very nice, there's picnic tables. But then when I talked to the people in the church about the gardens, it's been there for, I think, 8 to 10 years, and she says what's happened though over the years is there's mainly 4 people that go in there and do the maintenance, 4 volunteers, where everybody else has just kind of come plant their things and go away. But there's a lot more maintenance other than just planting the garden and going in and harvesting. So it's a great idea, but there's a lot of ifs to have to consider before you would do that. And you have to have accessibility, so it's got to be wheelchair accessible. And Tom mentioned parking, you know, is an issue. And I think, you know, I think it's a great idea, but I think you almost have to have somebody that would get behind it, like the Lions Club or somebody that's going to contribute some money. I'm assuming, and they took a guess that it was almost $80,000 to build their stands and put the fencing around this thing and put the gravel in and all the things that they needed to do with the watering and things. So, yeah, there's the pros and cons, but right now there's more cons, I think, facing us than there are pros in doing this. And so there, again, without going too much farther, I don't think it's a good idea at this time for us to get involved. We got so much other things that we have to think about. But as far as people wanting to use part of the parkland as part of their backyard to grow a garden, I would absolutely say not. That's kind of an infraction on our rules, I would almost guess, so I can't say that I would be in favor, but I can't remember if Prior Lake, I don't think we had community gardens there.
Oh, it all started when I was there, so
Yeah.
I've been in it from the very beginning. But we had quite a few residents coming forward. Like you said, I mean, we had a lot of interest because there were more apartment buildings, more senior complexes built as time went on. So we did start it, and we tried to model it after some of them in Minneapolis that were more successful. But I will say in the beginning, the Public Works Department did all the heavy lifting, and still to this day, still does a lot of it.
Yeah,
Just keeping up the weeds around it, and we couldn't afford, the city couldn't afford the money to put an 8-foot fence. So yes, there were deer coming in. Each gardener could put their own smaller fence around, but then we had people that were trying to garden into the next plot, and we even had STS come out and do chip trails in there to help keep the weeds down. But it's still like your problem, like 4 people would actually weed the other, and every garden was reserved, but some people
Right.
were better at keeping it up than others, and we found a lot of people wanted to try it for fun. So as a city, we would have meetings and bring gardeners in to teach them, so to speak. So there's just so much on the front end, and it still keeps going. And unless, like you said, we had someone, a nonprofit, take it from the beginning, I think the city, I mean, your department, there's just no way you could keep
They
that
wouldn't
up.
be able to handle it.
And just to prep the soil, because we had to, till it and then bring in compost, and, they even tested the soil, and they did all the 9 yards for it. And I agree with Paul, I mean, they're great, it's a good idea, but I think if we had more residents interested, and if there was an organization that would take it over, because, I was a full-time full-time person, and I had an office full-time person and another part-timer. And that was like almost a full-time job when it was seasoned and getting it rented, so I would agree, I think we should wait on that.
Yes.
well, in Minneapolis, I actually had a horticulture division that worked for me, and so we had a half a dozen full-time people that just, all they did was horticulture, but their main emphasis, and they were the ones that kind of had to oversee this thing, and it just really took a lot of work for them to take care of the gardens where they should be taking care of, well, you've seen the rose gardens and all of the beautiful gardens that are in Minneapolis. That was their main focus, but they really kind of balked at taking that. They were hoping for more volunteers, but that just did not happen. They'd come out strong to begin with, and then they phased out.
Yes.
And then I just want to mention, as a side note, I volunteer at the food shelf, and there's a couple ladies there have asked if we have a garden club. And garden clubs can be very successful, and Burnsville, they had one that was on Nicollet Avenue, not far from City Hall, that they came in, and they around that fountain there on Nicollet Avenue, they came in and they were a hosta club. So all they did is plant hostas all around this area. And hostas are beautiful plants that are very easy to maintain and manage, and those, garden clubs can be probably more successful than trying to plant vegetables,
Yeah, and staff believes this is an item that as we move forward, the nature of the community changes. As there's more residents that are looking for it, this is something that we shouldn't just permanently shelf, but at this point in time. And then the other thing with regards to it, just speaking to people that are asking, so the Lions actually maintain that garden down on Webster Street and 2. And in recent discussions with them, they've talked about how they're having to scale that back and gonna have to rework it because they don't have the resources from a volunteer and financial standpoint to even maintain that at the scale that it is. But at the same time, if there's people that want to help with downtown beautification, the Lions would love to have volunteers to assist with that, and they're getting ready to rework it into something that's a little more sustainable and manageable.
I actually saw something, I think it was on our Facebook page, where the city, that the Lions Club is looking for members.
It wasn't on the city site, but probably on one of the community water coolers. They are looking for it. They've gone from what was a fairly static membership in the 50s down to like 35 people. So they've seen a decline in their membership. So they're really looking to bring folks in. They do a lot of really good work in the community, but they have seen a decline in their membership and the amount of volunteerism that they have from their
Yeah.
members. So
Okay. Interesting. I didn't know that there was a garden aspect to the Lions Club, so
just that particular park, when it was established back in 2018, 18,
Before me, I think 18.
they, it's in county right-of-way, so the city had to act as the sponsor for the right-of-way application to the county. And as part of that, since we were responsible, there was a formal agreement or a letter of understanding that they would be fully responsible for the establishment maintenance, ongoing maintenance of the garden. And what they found is just over time, they are having troubles maintaining it at the scale that it's at, and they're looking for, and they're currently in the process of reevaluating what they need to do with it so that they can continue to sustain that going forward.
yeah, okay, interesting.
Do you need a motion for that?
On this one, we'd want a motion.
I'll motion to
Table,
put the community garden discussion further down the road. If
table it until future time.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Updates?
Updates?
July Parks.
We don't really have a whole lot, just our regular maintenance. T-ball's done, so just,
Brandon mentioned that, I don't know if you're in the meeting, but Corey and him met with,
yep,
to
Reed from Tamarack.
work on the Highlands Park and coordinating the work that the developer is responsible for with the work that the city's responsible for. Right now, it's my understanding that it's looking probable that they'll be able to get the park in this year at this point. So that was as of earlier in the week, so.
Wow, they must have come a long ways in just a couple of months then, because it was pretty much bare ground here not long.
It's still bare ground, but they have kind of a schedule set for when path and curb and everything's gonna go in, so that
It's gonna be nip and tuck though.
Yeah,
it's gonna be
yeah.
tight whether we can get it done this year, the
Yeah.
way it sounds.
Well, at least it's moving along, that's good.
Question, I was trying to look on the website didn't we used to have pictures of all the parks on the website? I thought we used to.
I remember we had a template that had like an informational piece on each of the parks. I can't answer where that is currently
Gotcha.
at, so.
Somebody asked at the elections
I don't
yesterday,
remember
and I
seeing
said,
that
oh
either.
yeah, there's pictures of all the parks on there, and I was trying to look, and I'm like, there isn't.
You sure they weren't talking about all of the parks we currently have?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't see, I couldn't find pictures on there of like the play structures or,
Of all the parks that we currently have, or the newer ones that are
I
coming?
think the picture was just a representative, if, I remember what you're talking about, but I can't remember if it was a promotional piece or if it was the website, and it was just a single promotional picture.
Picture of
Like, this
something.
is a pretty picture of this park from a pretty angle type of thing. It was a singular picture, if I recall correctly. It
for
was
all of them.
For, yeah, one for each, yeah.
Gotcha. I thought we did at one point.
I think
Okay.
there is. I think you're right. We'll have to look.
I'll look
I'll
it
look
up while you guys are doing other business.
I was trying to look it up yesterday at the election and I couldn't find, so.
Financial report is in your packets if you have any questions.
Anyway, we have no money. And there we are.
We're broke, it's a joke.
Over there.
Straightforward.
The
Pete's Hill.
Pete's Hill, so Paul can expand on it, but basically Paul's proposing to the commission that we install, you might say a monument sign recognizing the geo marker that is actually at the top of Pete's Hill. You guys have all seen it when you've been up there. A sample of the sign that's proposed is in your packet, and the cost of installing by the time that we, buy the sign, get the post, install it, is a few $100, probably not more than 500. That's probably on
That'd
the
be
long side.
real steep.
Yeah.
The sign itself is $60.
Yeah, it's not, I talked with Brandon, he's like, I wanted to make sure that I didn't understate it, so.
I told Brandon that, I told him it's $60, so if you want to throw in labor and a post.
It's gonna be closer to the 200, so it's not a budgetary, concern. So
Yeah.
the question is really if you guys wanna do it.
But it wasn't necessarily I just kind of got the responsibility about 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. Somebody brought up the idea that it is the highest elevation in the county. And so I said, well, that'd be neat, because we were also talking about an informational sign about Pete's Hill. And I think we just talked about, well, that is the highest point, because we were talking about the flag at that time and all kinds of things.
Yep.
And somebody mentioned that is, I said, that'd be cool. And I went up and I found the monument that was placed there. You see it in your packet, is 1927 or something like that, and it took me a long time to find somebody in the county that knew what the elevation was and when that was taken. I went through 10 different, I got we used to call them the government shuffle, but I got the shuffle real good, and I was passed back and forth a number of times before I finally got one person that was did the surveying and worked for an engineering department, and he spent a little time and looked it up. So that's where the information came from. So the information is accurate, and if you haven't been up on top of Pete's Hill, you'll see the concrete post that sticks up. It's very substantially in the ground with a little metal marker on the top. But the metal marker doesn't say anything, except the survey would know what that metal marker meant.
Right.
So it was triangulated up there, and you'll see another one down the hill a little ways, but that's the triangulation they took to find that elevation. So I learned a lot about survey and those types of monuments.
Yeah, I found a website a couple weeks ago that had like the survey history of, well, you can look up any survey marker anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
And it would tell you the history of all the different elevation measurements that have been taken there and stuff.
It's really interesting stuff. I think I think Buck Hill is the highest in this.
So I was looking at something, I thought Buck Hill is actually like 10 feet shorter than Pete's Hill.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I think it was on
PDS.
one of the GIS maps, like through the city or the county or something I was looking at, and it has a little triangle where all the different peaks are, like high points or whatever, and I wanna say Buck Hill was just a little bit shorter than Pete's Hill was.
The one guy I got was not even an employee. He was some guy that worked years and years ago and was talking about all of the rods that they used to measure and stuff like it. He totally lost me, but he had me on the phone for a half an hour explaining all his elevations, and the river, is at 0 elevation, and he thought Buck Hill was the point that they took off of to find all of the other points. So it was educational for me anyway at this age. What the hell? I mean, that doesn't hurt. Learn something new.
Who did the flag up there?
The flag up there has been there for decades. It was originally done by local residents, and then a number of years.
Tin first, is that? I think I was told it was like a,
There's a history on it. Originally, it was USA in like blocks of rocks, and then it might have been tin or other materials. And at one point, somebody poured a concrete slab and painted it. And then previous Parks Commissioner, previous council member, Dennis Melgard, a number of years ago said we should clean it up. So we initially got it cleaned up. We got a local veterans-owned company to come in, and they just cleaned it up and repainted it. And then since then, Public Works has been refreshing it every few years.
Yeah, because we went out, we tried to find a contractor, a painting contractor. I just happened to run into him when I was up there, and it was astronomical. So thank you for the Public Works Department, Maintenance Department. They went up and painted it. And actually, one of our neighbors up there, she was going to start painting it a couple of years ago, and somebody stopped her, said, no, don't do that. And it's pretty cool, though. But then the discussion a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, also was people used to be able to see it from Xerxes. They could drive by and see it. But now it's grown, I mean, beautiful big trees and a lot of trees have grown up, so you're not gonna see it from there, so we decided at that point, remember,
Yep.
not to do cutting
anything.
we're not cutting any trees down, so somebody can get a glimpse at it, so the mosquito control guys could see it real well from the helicopter. And if you're in the ambulance, look out the window. Yeah, it's pretty cool though.
Oh,
But
yeah,
they
definitely.
hauled that stuff by hand, I think, that concrete up there. I don't think they had any kind of machinery that could go up there and, yeah.
guess I don't know.
No, I think they, at the best, they probably had they hauled everything up by hand and maybe had a cement mixer, the old style, but it's, pretty cool.
So I guess
So
the question of the commission is, do you want to install said sign or not?
Oh, we're back to this.
That's
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, we're worried about the cost. If they leave the post hole driver sitting out, I'll go up and just do it one night when nobody's looking.
Yeah, I've got a post driver also, I can come along, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, a motion to move ahead with purchasing,
I better make that motion, so moved, yeah.
Second.
There was just one, issue on there and,
before you say, would you,
let me get my thoughts together before I say anything.
can I just pass the motion?
Oh, yeah,
All in favor?
aye. Any discussion? So Derek was, he and I have been talking about this a little bit too, and so I'd hate to think how many signs that I've had made over my career, hundreds. And some of them, these signs are pre-drilled. So some of the signs that I made, all of a sudden the dang bolt and washer went right through, and I think it's even on our wetland signs by my house, the bolt and the washer was right on top of the lettering on the sign. So it covered up, actually, I think I had one in one of my cities where it turned one word into a kind of a profane word, so, but anyway, there will be two bolts holding it up in the sign, but one, Derek and I have already talked about that the one that would be hitting one of the words, Derek said we can drill,
We can either re-drill the hole,
re-drill the hole.
or we can move the logo to the corner.
Well, Brandon and I already talked about moving the logo, and Brandon was really in favor of keeping the logo in the middle. So was I, because it seems a little bigger and you can see it on the sign
Yep.
that it's here, so you get to drill a hole.
And that's fine, I can,
Yeah, I got a drill press, I can do it.
we'll get it installed, so.
Okay,
But anyway, the vinyl on the outside of the sign will cover the
Yep.
hole that we don't use.
Yep.
So
Got it.
it works, trust me,
I trust you guys.
trust me, trust me.
Never trust anybody who says, trust me.
I know.
So circling back to the previous discussion, the flyers are in there, they're PDFs. When you go to the Parks and Recreation page on the city's website, on the right-hand side, there is a link to information brochure like this for each of the existing city parks.
Is there do we have any in there now for the new one?
For Highlands, no.
No, not Highlands,
Boulder.
Boulder?
Boulder
Is there
Heights.
a Boulder Heights in?
I do not know. Off the top of my head, I can tell you in 1 minute.
There's still a picnic facility at Pete's Hill.
The what?
There's still a picnic facility according, I get shows on the flyer.
Well, that's a
No,
good
there
point,
is
and
not
I wasn't
one
gonna bring it
for-
up, but just about every one of our park descriptions said there's a picnic facility there. And there's
one
not
doesn't have
picnic
one.
tables at,
No, it's actually been discussed with staff that this whole portion of the website needs to be updated. And I'll be honest, it's quite honestly a triage and bandwidth issue, yes. But it really does need to be updated. But this isn't, to be fair, this isn't the only portion of the city website that probably needs a little bit of refreshing.
Sounds like a project for Paul.
We actually, skip ahead, a quick update. We just had a new utility billing administrative technician start on Monday, Stacy Hand. So the maintenance of the website will fall under her duties, so one of her projects as she gets trained up, and with other core duties, one of her background or additional hats she's gonna wear is gonna be maintenance of the website.
So what is our office staff here now? Then Ty is finance, and then the new Stephanie, the new Steph,
Yep,
and then this will be another person.
Stacy, yep, and then we have Kelly, who's the.
And Kelly.
And Kelly, and then in community development, we have Brandon and Renee, and we're still over a year in trying to fill the community development director position, so.
Is it, oh, it's community development director, not just a planner then?
We started out as a senior planner.
Yeah.
And our pools were incredibly small and not good.
Isn't that funny?
So and at that time, the plan was that we were gonna hire a senior planner. Renee had enough runway left in her career that she would be able to work with that person and possibly grow them into a community development director.
Nice.
But after trying to hire for that position, not being successful with what was out there in the market, and with Renee's runway inevitably getting constantly shorter, the decision was to modify it, or might say upgrade it into a community development director position for succession planning purposes. And also with the idea that if it's a higher paying position, we might be able to shake the tree and get a better pool. We've been unsuccessful, so I'm actually going to the council at the first council meeting in,
September.
actually no, later, at the second meeting this month. And I'll be asking them to authorize, utilizing a headhunter to
Headhunter.
try and improve
Yep.
the applicant pool.
You know, and years ago, planners were all over the place. I mean, there was a lot of planners out there years ago. And that's the ones that I know are the friends of mine. You probably remember Jenny from, yeah. They went to the private sector. They're all working for our engineering company, some of the ones that I know that were, yeah, so.
Yeah, and when I spoke with I anecdotally knew that that was a difficult position, and when I spoke to the headhunter, they confirmed that the 3 toughest positions to hire for in cities right now is senior community development staff, senior finance staff, and city engineers.
Yeah,
More than cops, more than anything else. And part of the reason is, what Paul indicated is, one, there's less people, to be honest, there's less people coming into the field than there used to be. Places are continuing to grow and the demand is greater. 3, my personal opinion, the nature experience of the individuals that are coming out of those programs today are not what they were 2+ decades ago. And that's based on my experience interviewing and reviewing candidates and people newly coming out of school. And then the third reason is the fact that, unlike most other city positions, you have a limited pool, and now you're competing with the private sector who want to hire the same people to be consultants. And so it's difficult, especially if and that's why it's harder at the higher levels, because once you have somebody that it's an experienced planner, the planning firms or the firms that offer planning services, they want to recruit those people because they can bill them out at a high level.
Yep.
And then also same with like finance people, your financial consulting firms that provide finance services are looking to recruit them, city engineers as well, same reasons. So our plan is to improve the pool size. Honestly, if we go out and we're already doing things to pivot right now, so we're already looking at projects like the comp plan update and things like that. If we're unable to recruit somebody this time going out, we're probably going to have to look at fully consulting that out for this upcoming comp plan cycle, which will be very expensive, but we won't have a choice. We're statutorily required to do that. And our bandwidth internally is being entirely to day-to-day planning related items. And then for other things that we can consult out, we would go to consulting, and I would probably have to take a stronger role within the community development department to get us into a sustainable interim situation while we continue to try and recruit for that position. So. So that's the staffing update.
well, they're always saying that the younger generation's got to start looking at other types of jobs rather than IT and
AI?
AI and, yeah, but that's,
Yeah, can't we just have ChatGPT do it for us?
It's a tool. You still need the guy that turns the wrench, even though wrenches are a useful tool, so.
Did really good on our New York trip. Planned out our whole trip, man. I mean, nailed it. It was good.
And we are increasingly utilizing AI in day-to-day operations to save time, improve efficiencies, but you still need the end operator. Any questions on anything else city-related?
Why is the Beach Hill water tower leaking? That was I got that, I don't know how many times.
Is it because it's dripping, because
It's
it's
the
humid out?
condensation, yeah, and I had to explain it, I don't know how many times, because I couldn't remember what the temperature of the water is that's up there. Is
Like
it
54.
50 something, and it's 95 out, so, yeah. Oh, this water
Every
tower's leaking.
summer when it gets humid, we get the
Yes.
question
Oh,
there
it
because
was-
of
it
the
was
trail and the
crazy.
drip
You
line.
probably saw it, yeah.
But I didn't think it was
Oh, I was standing underneath it, I got a shower going.
Speaking of water towers, I got some questions about.
No, no water tower, please. Oh,
Does
funny.
anyone have any other questions related to city, parks? Nothing? All right.
About city issues, though,
Well,
or anything?
I don't know if you can have that discussion maybe, or,
Well, no, I just wanted to, I had heard that the city council had approved, and they're going to put in a distribution center on Main Street for marijuana and marijuana products. Is that true? That little greenhouse, I saw that probably on the Facebook thing too.
We have had inquiries for retail sales locations. I am not sure of the status of any specific applications, and we don't approve them. They can occur we don't have the ability to deny them.
Really?
No, the state took almost all local
That's true, that's
authority away related to those types of facilities. We can say where they are. We can require a local license related to them, but we cannot deny them, and and there are statutory limits on how much you reasonably can.
There was a picture in one
Have
of the
to.
Facebooks. I must be looking at the city, not the city. but
Yeah, you're
some other-
probably on like the.
And it showed that little house, that little green house
Elko neighbor.
in town that was gonna be the new, I gotta know where to go, No, I'm not kidding.
stop at Quick Trip, get a couple of drinks, THC drinks.
Yeah.
Have a whole,
It kinda shocked me that it was gonna be allowed.
That would be a question for Brandon. He's the person in our office that would handle all of the processing related to a new facility like that.
No, but you answered my question that the city has to allow it, it's state mandate, yeah.
Yeah, there are limitations. You have to allow at least a minimum of so many per population for your community. It gets a little complicated because it also gets to how many in your county, blah, 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 blah. But long and short, our council has indicated that they are considered another retail use, can locate in the same areas as other retail-type establishments. We can't prohibit them. They have to be licensed through the state, and we can require a local license, but we cannot deny their entry into the community.
Can we require any park tax sale on any of the other sales?
That would be local sales tax, would be special legislation, Paul.
We could get a piece of the action, or at least
can,
a
it's just-
product. Whoops.
Just go in and flash your Parks Vice Commissioner badge and say, hey, I gotta inspect this stuff.
Yeah, really, yeah.
Any other questions of a city nature?
all right, motion to adjourn then?
That motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.